So we have here Charlotte from Microsoft, Edwin from ABM. Anyone wants to ask a specific question to kick it off?
Yes, let's ask a specific question.
Yeah, yes? Sure, go ahead.
This is to Edwin. You talked about the continuous improvement for the call reasoning model, right? So just wanted to understand more about that. Is it through feedback loop system, automated self-learning or something like that? So how is that continuous improvement going to happen?
Can you guys hear it?
No.
I will repeat the question. Yes.
So the question was about the call reasoning and how we pursue continuous improvement. That's actually interesting because at one moment, so in the beginning, the way we've built the model is the first one, even I think 2 levels are still a bit pre-coded because we know from very rough data analysis what the main categories are. And then the rest is generated more dynamically. And what we look at each time is, okay, we ask the system, what can you prove why you've categorized it and why you allocate these? That's still for us some manual work to do those checks, right? So in the end, but based on those, we can again then create automated engines to do these checks for us. But it's really step by step doing that. I think where I would foresee much more of the future is that it's not purely about call reasoning, but actually then translating the call reasoning into actions, right? And if you know why clients are calling, you can have people then also analyzing, okay, can we prevent then those calls? So why can't people find on the website what they need to do when their wallet is stolen, for instance, right? Or what is not clear about that? Or can we have another agent maybe helping them, which is more automated? So for us, it's more in the end about the continuous improvement cycle, which actually we can start with having much better data about those type of things than the static data we're currently having. So for me, the power is not in getting the perfect call reasoning. It should be good enough. But actually, do we have sufficient input to do the continuous improvement on the client service side?
A quick follow-up. Is Amelia not with us anymore? Or is there anything you can bring from the world of Amelia into your new work?
No, Amelia is still there, still going strong. Still speak Chetan and the guys quite a lot. So I think mainly what I learned from Amelia was not so much on the technical side, but more on how to create impact with this technology. And so this is why, and I like also the chart you both actually saw, is at first you want to have use cases which are relatively simple and super high frequency, because then you will actually learn the most. Because I can try to automate discussions which our relationship managers have, but a relationship manager might have 2-3 conversations a day. He might only do that 4 days a week. So to get lots of volume and feedback about how to improve the implementation will take quite a long time. If I start in a call center where we get thousands of calls per day with many agents, I get much quicker feedback. So it's actually much more looking at, okay, how can I now find the right use cases, get quick feedback, so that we can learn and from there scale. I'm not saying that the other use cases are not interesting. They're interesting as well. But I know from experience it will just take longer to get them, basically to validate them and to get them right. And why is this important? Because to get the whole organization along, you need to create a belief that actually technology works and the technology makes a difference. Moreover, since it's AI, people think it immediately understands everything tomorrow. So the level of expectations between implementing an ERP system versus implementing an AI is completely different. So this is why we're each time trying to show, okay, we can make a difference. This is how we can create impact. But in the end, the value is in the transformational cases, as you said. Yeah, absolutely.
One question to Charlotte, to Microsoft, which I'm sure is in everybody's mind. So why should clients like ABM trust Microsoft with their data of their clients? How does it work? So are we not going to have the Mark Zuckerberg type of effect with Microsoft?
Very good question. Now, of course, the one-liner I have to say, Microsoft runs on trust. No, I think it's important is like it's still your data. So Microsoft is not leveraging your data. So especially in the part of Copilot, I get a lot of questions like, if I'm going to insert a query, are you going to use that to train that model, and can I just see what's coming up? But no, we not leverage any data or query that you also prompts that you're going to insert it. Because if you will do that, then people will also run away, and then we are just also losing our whole business model in that part. So similarly as we create, for example, a Word document, and you insert over there your data and you store it, we also cannot see what's going on in that Word document. Similarly, going to leverage like the Copilot in your own environment, in that setup. Is that enough for you?
Yes, but let's also.
Guys, is this enough for you? So are we going to trust Microsoft with our data for our companies? Or are we going to have a separate environment, sort of a separate data center? Anyone has any thinking with this regard, or any questions to follow up on the data privacy question?
No data officer here in the room.
No? All right. Anything else from you, the audience, to Edwin and Charlotte?
I'm thinking that parties like ECB also want assurance of that. I guess that's the word there. So I'm pretty curious how Microsoft is going to give us the assurance.
Yes.
Because I trust you because you just told me, but then that's probably not enough, right?
All right. So pretty words, but how do we know? How do we know?
I think definitely there's also more a conversation between legal department and our legal department, if I need to find it in the right way. But we also have a lot of companies, especially in, they do an assessment on it. So like in the data privacy assessment part of it. That's not only on Copilot, but I think we see that on our Azure service that's going to happen that people want to use. So definitely I can bring you in contact with the right person. I'm not that one to cover that part. But we definitely have the right people everywhere in place to have those discussions and see to how we have it dealing with your data, how where it's stored, how it's been processed of it. But definitely a good topic to consider instead of going directly use this part.
To me, sounds like a good proposition. So you can use software as a service, the centralized model, and still be safe.
Well, maybe a question on that is, do you see companies using open source LLMs on their own cloud, so to make sure that Microsoft doesn't get their data?
Yes.
You got other companies close?
Yeah, so what we see, of course, all different type of ways how people are using it. If people are using the data in another way, is not something that we can secure of it. We see also customers coming up is that we doesn't want only use ChatGPT or OpenAI as a foundation models. So what we leverage also like an open platform that we can leverage Hugging Faces or Llama for Meta, or maybe bringing in your own large language model part of it that you can also deploy and start using on our cloud as well. The Copilot especially is focused like as a SaaS offering, so what you directly can use as a software as a service. So that's why we just insert another way of security elements, because they already trust us the whole way that we just make sure of that privacy part. But yet, definitely want to be that open platform, and not only we started with OpenAI, the partnership, but we also want to give developers the possibilities to use all the important parts, because some large language models have on some part more. You can use them for more parts, or they are better in, for example, translating things or finding the entity recognition. One large language model are better in that part than another one. So you can find a kind of mix to create the best solution for yourself in that part.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, Charlotte. Anyone else? I saw some questions there.
Yes, so if I'm correct, also the grade of success depends a lot on how you train your people to use AI. Eh? So can you maybe share some story also to you, Charlotte, about, I saw some use case in a Japanese bank, if I'm correct, on where 45,000 people were trained to use AI. What was the key in training them and really adopting them these kind of this Copilot?
Yes, good question. Of course, it also depends on the culture in your organization. So some companies, they could just run it up and people directly could start using it. But most companies, that's not the case. Because if you just give the Copilot or any other, like if you just use ChatGPT, it's all about starting the right prompts. And that's, I think, getting your imagination to get the right input, then you also get the right output of it. So what they did over there is also create a kind of libraries and sharing prompts with each other, what is working or not. So they create several champions in the organization where they always show to each other, like, hey, how are you using Copilot or ChatGPT in your daily work? What type of prompts are you start using it? And that's also the way that they embrace and kind of praise each other if they show things in kind of information, how they leverage that part. There you still saw, and it's not only in this company, or with many other companies, where we can see like also kind of way people, they quickly adopting of new technology, you don't need to explain them, they try directly use them. And people, they are a little bit more afraid, like, hey, this is what I normally do, and now I may be done in a couple of minutes. Is that the right way that I have to do it? So that's why they also show them by examples, also top down, that also the C-level, C-management team also embrace, like showing how they're using the Copilot from like the team managers to show each other definitely like, okay, this is the way, explain them what generative AI is on one part, and then also show them examples how or which type of prompts they can use. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit inside Edwin AMRO how you...
Yeah, the way you have to think about training, on one hand there's the training just that people know how to use the technology, right? And I think that really, we did experiments and it really makes a difference, but if you want to roll it out within your company, you need to think actually much broader, right? So, because we have all kinds of specialists from their role will also now need to take decisions about how you can adopt it, how you can scale it, right? So there's the people obviously on the technical side. They're often just like doing this themselves because they love it, it's something new, it's something cool, but you have to train also your legal people, not only in the usage, but also in understanding the technology, your risk people, your compliance people. You have to train management on how actually to steer it. So, and we're not perfect on that either yet, so we're actually trying to sort of understand how we can do that much more at scale. But if you think about training, and if you want to scale it, you need to make sure that everyone who has a critical role in scaling the adoption gets the appropriate training, because otherwise, if they don't understand, they actually cannot assess what's properly going on, and you always then have or decisions which might, in the end, you might regret, or no decisions at all, because if people don't know, they will just hold it back. So that would be my recommendation.
Thanks. And at ABN, do you guys, when you work with new use cases, what is the sentiment of people? Do they think about it as, well, it's a helpful tool, I can get more creative and save time, or do you have anything like, well, this is probably taking away my job in a way?
I was expecting a lot of the latter, but what we see, especially where we are running a bit more at scale, that people typically love it. And if you talk, for instance, with our people in our contact center, they say, I actually can now focus much more on helping the client, right? And we all sometimes call a call center, right? And typically what happens is you're telling your question, you're asking your question, you're telling maybe your story, and at one moment you just hear a keyboard being very busy. You pause a bit so that the person on the other side can catch up. That's now all gone, right? So our agents can just listen. Sometimes they need to type a bit if it's something very specific in a client file to which we don't have GPT yet connected. But in all the other cases, they actually can just help you solving your problem as a client. Which was a huge difference, because in the old days, previously they actually were already looking up for the right knowledge article, writing already the summary because they were afraid they would forget certain aspects of the conversation, and that's gone. And that's what they love, because they are now much more into the conversation and actually having the impact they aspire to.
But next to efficiency gains, so would you be able to argue that there is now space for more empathy and human-to-human connection for people that are receiving client requests, because everything else is being more and more taken away? Is this an implicit requirement in the future?
Yeah, I think there's now much more time to be in the conversation, and hopefully, right, and this is also why the coaching is so important, and this is also why we have the coaching use case, that we actually train people then how to be maybe even more empathetic. And honestly, right, we should not, what we have, actually I think it was OpenAI who did the experiment, but there was an experiment where people could speak on chat with a doctor, and people could speak on chat with ChatGPT about a disease they had. And then the conclusion was that still the doctor was slightly better in giving the right advice, but the AI was more empathetic than a doctor, right? So let's also, and obviously the AI itself is not empathetic, it just knows, if you put it in empathetic mode, what type of words it uses, right? So, and this is also the type of coaching you then can give again, you can use the same technology to coach humans also a bit more on being empathetic. So I definitely can work out. Yeah.
Excellent. Now, question from the audience. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Charlotte and Edwin, I heard a fantastic discrepancy between your two stories. So there's, on the one hand, I hear Charlotte tell about direct consumer solutions based on generative AI, like a chatbot that will immediately talk to your client. On the other hand, Edwin, I hear you say that there's risks involved there, and that at this point, at least at APN AMRO, we believe that we need a human in between. And I'm just very much looking forward to where's the moment that we will move to that second phase, third phase, I think it was, and how you guys are looking from two different perspectives to that point.
Yes. So can we remove the leash from that Gen AI anywhere soon?
Yeah, I don't think there's a full discrepancy here. It's more a matter of timing, right? So also we are working on seeing how can we actually develop a chatbot, but in terms of timing, we still want to make sure that we have enough safeguards before we unleash it, right? We all have seen what happened to the DPD chatbot a couple of weeks ago, right? And for a bank, it's very critical that the answers we give are always fully correct. So that's one thing. The second thing is I'm already seeing, right, the more traditional technologies versus ChatGPT or any other LLM. It's already day and night different. So, right, will it become better? Absolutely. So there's no doubt about that. The quality of the conversation will be higher, etc., etc. It's more we need to learn a bit together with our partners, and obviously it's not a secret that we are an Azure company. Together with the partners, we just now need to see how can we build enough of these safeguards in so that actually it's very consistent and always very helpful. I think where the big step up is not so much in doing all kinds of FAQs, and that's maybe not a learning from Amelia. I actually want, I don't want a chatbot, I want to have a personal banker where if you've lost your card or if you've whatever, have any other thing which can be solved immediately, that the bot can do that as well. And if you're the example of buying a house, obviously giving all the right, if you're a starter, that you have someone who can take you automatically, step by step through those types of journeys. So we have met quite a few of those concepts there. Actually, tomorrow, Yorissa, our Chief Digital Officer, is here. She will always talk about a friction-free environment. This is a technology which can truly help us with that. So the discrepancy is more a matter of timing, and when do we feel confident enough that we actually can do this. And I don't think it's a matter of years, honestly.
No, and indeed, and to add on, if this technology is new and you want to start with it, we will not directly recommend just go out and go to your customers and let experience them, because you also want to train and learn and on the behavior how you could implement this model. So that's why I also put like the human in the loop that you put first in it to control what's coming out of it. It will take time before you know, okay, how can we do the right meta prompting? How can we make sure that it behaves in a way that we also can give it to a customer? And that's why we also put that pipeline in. You directly use from productivity or the part like customer call center. But it will be a matter of time, because you see already examples popping up that you're going to give it to your end user. But maybe you're not directly started with your first critical application, but maybe start with a kind of information way, and then you build up the whole use case part. But I think it's all about building up the skills, the knowledge, but also learn how these large language models can behave in your organization. And of course that you also have the right data, because it's not going to be that the generative AI are going to solve your data quality, because it's also going to leverage the same data as well before you're going to give this directly, for example, to your clients.
Thanks.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Charlotte. Thanks, Edwin. And thank you, everybody. You've been a wonderful audience. Is this?